We're just waiting for the final seconds to tick away. Thank you. Good afternoon. It is 4 o'clock on a beautiful 17th of May, 2021, and I call this meeting of the Conway City Council to order. I'm very happy that Josh Finkley from the Rock Church has agreed to come today to lead us in our invocation and in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you for the opportunity, and it's good to be here. Let's pray together. God, I just want to take this moment and just thank you just for the privilege to speak to you, to know that the creator of it all listens to our voice, God. And I want to ask that for everybody in this room, everybody who's listening, that whatever might be on our mind or whatever might be on our heart, that you would intervene for us. For anybody who's dealing with illness or ailments at home or with family members, that God, you would jump into their lives and speak into their lives and comfort and heal where needed be. God, I thank you for this city, this town that we call home. We thank you for just the great things that you're doing in Conway. God, we thank you for our teachers. We thank you for our councilmen. We thank you for our first responders. We thank you for our medical professionals. We thank you for everybody who's doing everything they can, not just to make this place a better place, but to serve and to love those who call this place home. So we just pray for a blessing upon them right now. We pray for a blessing upon this meeting. In your name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, have we satisfied the Freedom of Information Act?
We have.
Thank you so much. Item 3 on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion? Mr. White? Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Mr. Goldfinch? Thank you, sir. We have a properly seconded motion to approve the agenda. All in favor with a show of hands, please. And the motion carries unanimously. Now, relative to the consent agenda, is there a motion? Mr. Hyman, Mr. Alex Hyman. Is there a second? Mr. Hubbard? Thank you. We have a properly seconded motion to also approve the consent agenda. All in favor with a show of hands. And motion also carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is public input. This is an opportunity for anyone in the public to address this council on almost anything. The single exception is that you won't be allowed to speak about an individual employee. We need to take that up in a more quiet venue. This is not interactive, but it is an opportunity for us to hear you, and we may even direct you to one of our staff members or one of us to do some follow-up with. Is there anyone present today for public input? There seems to be no one, so I'll move that we close public input at this time. Mr. White?
Second.
We have a properly seconded motion to close public input. All in favor, please show your hand. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Item 6, special presentations. A is a presentation of a proclamation to Conway High School champion wrestler Johnny Guardian. Johnny himself is ill, but 2 of his coaches are here. If you would meet me up front, please.
Need a mic.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Well, this is one of the joys of my life, to be able to talk about all the great deeds that are happening by residents of the city of Conway. This proclamation comes from the Office of the Mayor, Conway, South Carolina, honoring Johnny Guardian. Whereas Johnny Guardian trained and has completed as a wrestler representing Conway High School. Despite his efforts, he was unable to qualify for the state tournament in his junior year, a huge disappointment for this young athlete. And whereas the wrestling season of Johnny's senior year was wrought with a series of unique challenges. With the dangers associated with coronavirus, the opening of the season was questionable. The season opened late, a setback that proved the least of Johnny's worries. And whereas Johnny was victorious in his first tournament, but trouble returned soon after. An injury early in his second tourney left him with 2 broken bones in his hand. Miraculously, Johnny continued the match and won. And whereas healing time and intense conditioning were required for Johnny's return to the ring. Having wrestled only 2 bouts, he faced the region's tournament qualifier. Despite the adversity brought on by limited matches, reduced training, and the continued healing of his hand, Johnny was the first place victor. And whereas the lower state qualifier proved the next hurdle for Johnny. He had not even placed in the year prior, but won an amazing finals match in overtime, becoming the lower state champion. And whereas now on the state tournament stage, Johnny would have to perform without the direct support of even his parents, as fans were not allowed entry. The first period was scoreless. Johnny scored 1 escape point in the second period, with his Hillcrest High School opponent answering with 2 points. Johnny mustered all of the technique and strength he had in reserve to amazingly win the match, becoming the first Conway High School wrestling state champion in 20 years. Whereas Johnny's success is a story of perseverance, resolve, determination, and resilience. Hats off to our champion, Johnny Guardian. Therefore, by the power vested in me as mayor of the city of Conway, South Carolina, I hereby proclaim that Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, Kevin needs to get ready for this by tomorrow, is Johnny Guardian Day in the city of Conway, South Carolina, and encourage the residents of this great city to congratulate and celebrate his noteworthy accomplishments as our wrestling state champion. In witness whereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Conway, South Carolina to be affixed this 17th day of May in the year of our Lord, 2021. It is signed by yours truly and attested by the city clerk, Ms. Barbara Tessier. Please congratulate Johnny Guardian. The next item on the agenda is a presentation of a Gun Violence Awareness Day proclamation. Are there people here for that proclamation? Would you come forward, please? Thank you for the work combating gun violence in our society. And I'll read this proclamation for the public. This proclamation also comes from the Office of the Mayor, Conway, South Carolina, regarding National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Whereas every day, more than 100 Americans are killed by gun violence, alongside more than 230 who are shot and wounded. And on average, there are more than 13,000 gun homicides every year. And whereas Americans are 25 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other prosperous countries. And whereas South Carolina has an average of 908 gun deaths every year, with a rate of 18 deaths per 100,000 people, South Carolina has the 11th highest rate of gun deaths in the United States. And whereas protecting public safety in the communities he and she serves is a mayor's highest responsibility. And whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. And whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever, as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to exacerbate gun violence after more than a year of increased gun sales, increased calls to suicide and domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. And whereas In January 2013, Hadia Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15. And on June 4th, 2021, to recognize the 24th birthday of Hadia Pendleton, born June 2nd, 1997, people across the United States will recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to Hadia Pendleton and other victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. And whereas by wearing orange on June 4th, 2021, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence, pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands, and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Therefore, by the powers vested in me as mayor of the city of Conway, South Carolina, I do hereby proclaim Friday, June 4th, 2021 as National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the city of Conway, South Carolina, and encourage all citizens to support their local community's efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives. In witness whereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Conway, South Carolina to be affixed this 17th day of May in the year of our Lord, 2021. This is also signed by yours truly and attested by the city clerk, Barbara Tessier. Thank you so much. Item C is Employee of the Month. Mr. Rogers.
Good evening. Roseanne has been with us. This is Roseanne Dates, our grants coordinator, has been with us for a year and a half. In that time, she has applied for over $7 million in grant funding and has successfully received 97% of those dollars for the city and our community. Most prominently, the city was recently awarded the largest grant in its history because of it, and because of it, we'll be able to make massive upgrades to our sewer system that will benefit residents and businesses for decades to come. Roseanne is also a valued part of the City Hall staff. She can always be depended on to assist with every project that comes along and provide some comic relief when it's needed the most. I'm happy to present to you Roseanne Dates, Public Service Employee of the Month for April.
Congratulations, Roseanne. Thank you for all you do. Did she get her?
Yes, she does get 8 hours vacation
Thank you so much. Item D is relative to the Hero Award, Mr. Ashley Smith.
Our Hero Award for April, it goes to Nick Persbilski. Nick, come on up. Nick is a lifeguard with the Sports and Fitness Center, has been there for 4 years, and he is what we want our lifeguards to be. And when I say he's a rock star and a superstar, I could talk forever about him. I want you to check the TV out. This is what he did the first day we were open at a pool party from COVID. He jumped over the railing and saved this little girl. Yeah, that's what Nick does. That's why he's a hero. a little nervous about saying his last name correctly. Did I get that right? Nick, here you go. And thank you for everything you do for the city.
Does he get those? I don't know. That is really cool. Now we have a request to approve a special event at Smith Jones Park entitled the First Annual Juneteenth Soul Food Festival. And we have Ms. Margaret Harriet here to present. How are you, Ms. Harriet? Wonderful. If you'll come here to the mic, we can probably hear you best. And I didn't do this earlier, but for anybody who uses that mic, if you'll speak particularly loudly and directly in the mic, people in the back have a lot of difficulty hearing. Is it? I don't think it's on. It's not on. There you go, you got it, Miss Margaret.
Hey, well, this is my first time, so I am not really sure exactly. I guess I'll just tell about the festival and why I want to do the festival. Well, 2006, and I'm nervous, so please bear with me.
And we don't bite, so just take your time.
Okay.
And, yeah, it'll be okay.
2006, I was in Georgetown Technical College, and I was in a computer class, Microsoft class, and Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So we had a presentation that we had to do, and mine was on the successful steps of a soul food festival. And when I got done doing my presentation, the slides advanced and all that stuff, the professor, and I wish I could remember his name, he asked me, he said, "That's pretty good." And it looked just like that. And I had a picture, a map, and all of that stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just reminiscing. But he asked me, was this something that I was gonna do? Because it was really good. I said, well, not until after I open my restaurant that I wanna have the Soul Food Festival. And I just think that it's time to breathe. We've been through a tough year last year. And aside from the fact that I've been wanting to do it for the past 15 years. Aside from the fact that I wanted to do it for the past 15 years,
I think it does.
people need to know that we're here for them, and that it's sponsored by my nonprofit organization, Go Get Your You Foundation, which was formed by me, and it's for single parents that want to go back to school, that want to get a job, that want to start a business and don't know their way around, don't know who to talk to, don't know what to do. So this is an introduction to that foundation, to let people know that we're here. You have a place where you can take your kids. If we don't have a place, we'll find a place. So we have some of everything going on. I tried to squeeze it all in one day. And if I'm jumping from stuff to stuff, please stop me if you have questions. But if you look up at the map right here, okay, 378 is towards the top. So the two roads are on the side. You come down, and the food vendors are going to be on Smith Jones Street. We want those two streets blocked at both ends so that, no cars or anything can get through, and we can protect our vendors. On the street beside that, where the two green, I don't know what that is, but the two green things, that's where the retail vendors are going to be. And everything else on the basketball court, we're going to have DJs, and on the softball field, we're going to have a kids pavilion. And we have a food vendor that's going to provide hot dogs for them, We have wristbands, and like I said, I was nervous, so I left my wristbands. And when the gentleman that I got to do the t-shirts and the wristbands, it was all coming together, and it was exciting, and I cried, and I keep crying, and when I leave here, I'll probably cry again. But this is well needed. It is much needed for this community. And right here, Apollonia Brown, she's one of the advisors, and her and Ashley White are like the co-chairman, and they have been phenomenal. They have been texting me, what about this? Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. What about this? And see, you have to outsource and get other people's opinion. And that's what this foundation is all about. You know, letting people know that we're here and we can do this, and this. So that's what, yes, sir.
Let's dig into the soul food a little bit. What can I expect?
You can expect different food vendors. You can expect an array of, because people think that soul food is ethnic food. It's not. It's your soul food. Italian have soul food. You know what I mean? So if I could be all the vendors, I would, but that wouldn't be no fun, you know. But so you can expect a day filled with good music, a day filled with information, t-shirts, some of everything. I mean, yeah.
You have anything special planned for children?
We have motivational speakers. We have about 5 or 6, I think, right now. One being that I'm very proud of is Michael Allen, who was a Conway High graduate and is a very successful architect up in Greenville. We have from Myrtle Beach, we have Ron Williams, who's an entrepreneur. We have Smalls from Burgess. He has a farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Homewoods Farm.
You know, we want these people to get in front of the kids and explain to them how they got where they are. We want them to have hope. And that's what the motivational speakers are for.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Goldfinch?
Mayor, I move we approve said request.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second, Mr. White?
Second.
We have a properly seconded motion to approve your request. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. So we'll be out there to promote what you're doing on Juneteenth. God bless you.
Also, I have one other thing.
Sure.
I don't know what the proper procedure is, but I want to dedicate this festival to the city of Conway. And I want it to be, well, can it be the 3rd Saturday in June?
I need to check with staff about any problem with that date. There doesn't seem to be any. Did you say there should be or should? Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Emmerich will confirm that with you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the work you do. Item 7 is a public hearing and first reading of fiscal year 2021-2022 budget, an ordinance to levy taxes and establish the municipal budget for the city of Conway, South Carolina for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. Ms. Williams,
Okay.
you're on.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll wait for Bart just a second. All right, we got it now. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Staff presented a 2-year or biennial budget at the budget retreat this past March. We're only presenting FY 21-22 at this time since state law requires you to pass one budget per year. So we'll bring back the FY 22-23 at a later date. The comprehensive budget totals right at $50 million. This is a 1.5% increase over the current year's budget. Proposed personnel, cost of living salary increases of 1.7% for qualified employees. New personnel, there are 7 new full-time budgeted positions. Property tax increase. Property tax millage will increase by the cost of living rate of 1.7% from 76 mills to 77.3 mills. Proposed fees, 2 new proposed fees. Streetlight maintenance fee of $4.79. Sidewalk maintenance fee of $2.50. Fee increases. Solid waste collection fees will increase due to Horry County Solid Waste Authority rate increases, as well as the need for additional funds to maintain service to our rapidly growing population. Monthly charges will increase by 26% for both residential and commercial. Residential monthly fee for one rollout cart with a single pickup will increase from $19 to $24 per month.
Ms. Williams, I'm just going to ask you to speak up just a little bit, please.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I can barely hear you, and I just worry about people who are sitting in the rear. Can you hear? No, not at all. I'm sorry.
Solid waste fees will increase from $19 to $24 per month. Commercial fees will increase at that same percentage. Solid waste will have a new commercial dumpster lease program starting at $50 a month. Stormwater monthly fees will increase to address flooding concerns throughout the city. Monthly charges will increase by 19% for both residential and commercial. Residential fees will increase by $1 from $5.25 to $6.25. Commercial monthly rates will increase at the same percentage. And lastly, public utilities, water and sewer rates will increase by 6%. More funds are needed to keep pace with the rehabilitation and upgrade needs of the city's aging water and sewer systems. Multiple essential water and sewer projects are planned over the next few years in order to keep up with the capacity needs of the city. And as an example, of a household using 6,000 gallons of water and sewer in city, water and sewer will increase by $2.81. Out of city water only be $2.63, and out of city water and sewer is $5.62.
Thank you, ma'am.
And it's a public hearing.
This is a public hearing on the city's upcoming budget. Is there anyone present who would like to speak either in favor of or against any of the terms, or ask questions for that matter? Mr. Hyman? Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Mr. White?
A second.
Properly seconded motion to close the public hearing on this matter. All in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. And now what is the will of the council?
Question.
Mr. White?
On the side, street lights and sidewalks increases, were we getting money for this previously, or this is just new?
It's a new fee.
Thank you.
Mr. White?
I was just gonna make a motion that we accept the budget.
All right, thank you, sir. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Jordan? Second. I know your name. We have a properly seconded motion to approve the budget. This is the first reading, of course. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, Ms. Williams. Item 8, consideration of Marina pump station bid. And I'm not sure who's bringing this before us. Mr. Frazier. You'll wear it till the end.
Mayor, council, during Hurricane Florence, the Marina pump station received quite a bit of damage. In fact, had to be taken out of service during the hurricane. We made the repairs and got it back in service, but FEMA's offered some money for repairs and mitigation of $228,000. We sent this, we sent it out for bids, basically redo the whole station, and we had 5 responses, and the low bid was $1,110,506 from AC Schultz, and I'd like to recommend we accept their bid.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I move we approve staff's request.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Ms. Timms. We have a properly seconded motion to approve the bid that you recommended, sir. Is there any discussion? Mr. White?
Yes, ma'am. With the other bids that were given, first of all, have we done work with this company before?
We checked their background. The engineer has signed off saying that they meet the qualifications.
Okay. And some of the other bids, they were not that far away from his bid, correct? But why were we not getting someone in state to do this rather than out of state?
They qualified. They came in as low bid. They've done work like this before, so there was no reason not to accept them.
I can answer that too. We have a local preference, but local preference isn't statewide, and this is a federal project, so we have to adhere to their guidelines as well.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Answers your question. We have is there anyone else? We have a properly seconded motion to approve the bid that has been submitted and recommended by Mr. Fraser. All in favor with a show of hands, please. And that motion also carries unanimously. Thank you so much. We're at item 9 already, City Administrator's Report.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm loud, so I know it usually picks me up. This week, the Recreation Department is doing site visits with the engineers that are considering bidding on the Smith Jones Pool rehab project. Normally, we would not bring an engineer in on a pool rehab, but because we're using CDBG money, it was required to bring in an engineer. So that process is ongoing. The bid is out, and those engineers are touring the site this week. The Conway Superstar is tentatively scheduled for August 14th at 6 p.m. at McCown Auditorium. We're still working on the details of this date and confirmation of the event, but that will be forthcoming shortly. So if you've not penciled that in on your calendar, please do. The Recreation Department is also working on a new river-oriented event for this August, and stay tuned for more details as that one develops. Hopefully it goes great through the approval process. And the Recreation we're also working on a pop-up splash pad event for the 4th of July again. It was really successful 2 years ago. We did one at Labor Day, one at 4th of July. Obviously last year we weren't able to do it because of COVID. So we're working on that one. Hopefully that will go the same place we did the first one last year, downtown by the planning department. Timmy Williams has met with the SCDOT this morning about the medians on 501 bypass. I know you asked a lot about that and making sure it's upkept. Hopefully we can begin planting them as soon as possible. We've got because of traffic volumes, SCDOT is very reluctant to let anybody work in the medians and the right of ways. So we have to work with their schedules, and typically that's at night. So expect an update for that. Hopefully it's an update saying it's been completed. If you haven't noticed, in the front of City Hall, there's a banner congratulating our Conway area schools who are graduating this year in front of City Hall, and that will stay up until the beginning of June. The Grounds Maintenance Department is also installing the annual display of the thousands of American flags throughout the city, beginning today to celebrate Memorial Day, Flag Day, and the 4th of July. Sort of in closing for myself, it's a long one. So I mentioned that we were getting stimulus money in the federal, the American Recovery Act. The original notice of funding came out. We were supposed to get $9.6 million. And we never really announced that amount publicly because it was always considered there's more guidance coming sort of thing. So don't count on this money. Don't spend this money. They've given us our final preliminary guidance from the Treasury Department, and the number has been reduced from 9.6 million to 4.3 million, which is a significant reduction. Virtually all cities that we've looked at, we only looked at the ones in South Carolina, all had a similar reduction, a drastically similar reduction. And there's not been an explanation given for why the numbers are so different. We are still trying to get that explanation from the federal government. The good news for us is that everyone is trying to get that explanation. So it's not a Conway unique problem. And so that will be forthcoming. The other problem we have is that there has been very little guidance on how this money can be spent. And that is coming out in much more clear detail now. All those new details are still coming out daily on that as well. The one thing we do know is that you can repay yourself. So the city can repay itself for losses that are COVID related. That would be from revenue drops, such as our recreation center was closed for almost a year and a half. We had our courts were closed for a year, so we had no fine revenues coming in. Our franchise fees were cut by about 10% across the board from all of our utilities. And in total, we have unreimbursed expenses and drops in revenues of about $2 million. So we will be able to just basically take that calculated amount and put it back into the general fund balance to recoup what we were down because of last year. What we will do and what we plan to do is come back to you at a later point to do a budget amendment. And I realize it sounds crazy since we just read the first reading of the budget tonight, but until we get firm guidance from the Treasury, we're not sure exactly how that money can be spent. So when we know what it can be spent on, we'll do a workshop, bring to you some ideas that staff has. We'll have to do a budget amendment to be able to accommodate that, but that'll be going forward. So expect that to be on an agenda at some point in the future to figure out how we're going to spend that money, whether it be 4.3 or more. Hopefully it's more, but we'll have to address that. The one thing we do know is that if we do a lot of projects with this money, we may need additional help to be able to manage that. And we learned today that you can use administrative costs as part of this grant. So if we end up with 5 or 6 projects out of this, we can bring someone in to help manage that as well. So it is very difficult to manage federal grants. And we are, you heard Roseanne's list already. She's about tapped on her capacity. So if we're going to spend another $4 million on multiple projects, or $9 million, ideally, it's going to require some additional labor. So when we come back to you, we'll bring you that as well in a workshop format. And tonight, if there's no questions, we have reports from our solid waste department and our building department. And I will turn it over to Reggie Jenrette and then Robert Cooper after this question.
One question.
Yes.
The city of Myrtle Beach, they're always doing something to their medians throughout the year. Do they have special dibs on those properties?
So
do they own it?
I believe they took over the ownership of Ocean Boulevard in Myrtle Beach, which is how they can do those medians. They are doing some work on 501. They did a realignment and they worked that into the arrangement with the realignment. The rest of them, everybody else is subject to the same rules. There are some areas of the state that are able to do maintenance of their medians differently than we are allowed to do. And we've been told it is a regional approval process.
Thank you.
So, yeah. And that is also frustrating. All right. Thank you. Ready?
Thank you so much, Mr. Jenrette. Yeah, like on top of it.
All right, the solid waste department has 2 open positions: heavy equipment operator 1. Residential carts, we purchased 656 green 95-gallon roll carts. We sold 508 carts so far this year. Recycling carts, we purchased 962 blue 65-gallon recycling carts. 500 carts was from the DHEC grant. We also sold 312 blue recycling carts for a total of 812 carts so far this year. The recycling program has a 19% increase over the last 10 months, and the recycling program is doing pretty well.
And what was that increase, please?
19% increase over the last 10 months.
Impressive.
The commercial routes have a total of 304 commercial stops. For the month of April, we picked up 671 tons of solid waste. Solid Waste Authority increased the rates on the 1st of April. Solid waste is $38 a ton. Mixed construction is $29 a ton. Tires is $150 a ton. The total bill for the landfill was $72,366.63 for the month of April. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
I'm sorry, sir. I was talking. Did you offer to answer questions?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Mr. Hyman?
Reggie, I believe we anticipated the increase in that.
We did.
Yeah.
This is kind of an aside. It just came up to me today that a resident on Forest Loop Road complained that maybe 3 fairly new neighbors refused to move their garbage bin during the week. And I believe that your staff has actually responded to that you leave notes on the bin itself. What happens after that? Does that go to code enforcement or?
Yes.
It does.
Normally, I call Greg Rush after 2 or 3 days, and then if they don't move it, Greg would offer to write them a ticket or have the police officer to write them a ticket.
My understanding is that it's ongoing, that it hasn't changed at all, that other people are having to increase their trash pickup around their own yards because things blow out of these bins that are never moved. So
Okay, I check on that tomorrow.
thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. Mr. Robert Cooper.
Mayor and Council, facilities maintenance and the building department have been extremely busy.
We're going to need you in that mic too, Robert.
I'm not close enough yet.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Can't see the thing. I'm so close.
You and Reggie are the softest spoken people here.
We've hired 3 new employees since December. Jordy Collins transferred from the street department. Zach Noseworthy, we hired last week. To both work in facilities maintenance. We hired a Joey Letts, a new building inspector, and Jim Hill retired after, I think it's 10 or 12 years. During the months from January to April, the building department issued 627 total permits. This is nearly double the total permits that we issued in the same 4 months last year.
Would you repeat just that line? How many permits and what was that time frame, please?
From January through April of this year, we've issued 627 permits. That's nearly double the same amount from last year. And it's just 4 months. Of the 627 permits issued, 162 were new single family and 1 16-unit apartment building.
Would that apartment building count as 1 or as 16?
It would count as 1. We would call it multifamily. This is triple the number of single family dwelling permits issued from the same 4 months. We have performed 2,887 inspections, and that includes property maintenance. During those months of 2020, we issued 387 permits, and 52 were new single family dwellings, and we performed 1,408 inspections from last year to this year. Facilities maintenance, we did the electrical and the irrigation in Teal Alley. We started on the renovations in the new building and planning department building. We're currently building a 2-story building at the baseball field. It's got the bathrooms, press box, and concession stands. And then I got a whole list of stuff, but I will be here all night if I read all this. We've attended many conferences for continuing education, including the National Flood Conference, as well as the Building Official Conference in Myrtle Beach. May is Building Safety Month, and Brooke has been helping us with that, putting it out on Facebook. And any questions?
I have one. Do we have to water artificial turf?
I don't think so.
Now, you said something about irrigation. I'm not trying to be.
There's sod on either end of the turf.
Sorry?
There's sod on either end of the turf
I
that is
see,
water.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
That was easy.
Anyone else? Thank you so much for your report, Mr. Cooper. Really appreciate it. And we'll move forward to item 10, council input. Mr. Alex Hartman, you ready?
Things was seeing how
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jordan. Oh, my goodness. All right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Timms, welcome back.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment, and I think tonight's been an example that will sort of showcase what I'm going to talk about. When I was recovering from surgery and in rehab, I had the opportunity to watch this council on television.
Oh, no.
Yes, which is interesting. If you all have not seen this, you need to go back and look at it. But I do think that we have to upgrade our technology. Whether it's in this room or in New City Hall or wherever, I think all of these places are going to be used in the future. And I don't know how much money we have targeted for that, but certainly some of these new funds that may be coming in could be used for that. You cannot see, you cannot hear. It's better without masks, of course, but the cameras in the back, as you all see, and there's nothing Jeff can do to fix this. I mean, it's just it's a I just feel like that's an area that we are very weak in, and I didn't realize it until I got that. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Timms. Mr. White.
I just want to thank the city for demolishing that building on it's a house on 378 back beside Latimer's. Thank you for doing that. Very much needed. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Goldfinch.
I agree with Ms. Timms, but I have nothing else.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hubbard.
Real quick, I thought Brilliant on Green was a great success. I got a lot of confidence on the city putting it on. I didn't say anything.
You can give away the credit.
Y'all know we had a storm that created a lot of debris. And it was so bad on my road, I couldn't even see my neighbor's house across the street. And I said, there's no way we've got enough equipment to get all this stuff up. City looks good. Thanks for Reggie. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to congratulate both Conway Downtown Alive and city staff for some outstanding events. The opening of Teal Alley was quite the event. It's a gorgeous place. People are using it every day, talking very highly of it, and all that's good. I think it's going to be just another thing to cement our growing relationship with Coastal Carolina University. And it's beautiful. Alex Hyman.
Who's that guy next down?
I forget his name. Justin Jordan. I also have been really pleased with Grooving on the Green. I saw the special blend experience a week and a half ago in the spots this past Friday. And I had to tell Shane that his group is acting as if they don't miss him. So he needs to get back to it. Is it a different group? No. Okay, all right. Well, you can explain that later. The city cleanup on, that was Saturday a week ago, I believe. Enormous turnout. People brought their staff brought family members. It was a really beautiful day and a lot got done. I've already mentioned that. There's a lot being said about trees. And I just wanted to reiterate something that I'd said earlier. We've talked many times about the tendency of developers to purchase a plot of land that is at that point in the county, clear cut that land, and then annex into the city. And there have to be some ways that we can de-incentivize that activity, make it more difficult. I mean, I know that we can come up with something that will make that more difficult to do. We have some debate among us about our tree ordinance, whether or not it is purposeful, whether or not it's fair, how it affects one kind of situation versus another. I just hope that we'll be thoughtful as we move forward. What I'm noticing is that since I've been on the council, beginning 1993, that there is a growing tendency for purchases of land with those restrictions already in place. They're known about, but several of our developers apparently are so certain that they have ample political clout that they may purchase anyway and expect us to just do away with what we believe to be necessary restrictions on the taking down of trees. It's just going to involve a lot more work with us, but the issue grows over time. I think I'll leave that there. That's all I have. So at this time, we will move into executive session, the purpose for which is to discuss employment of a new city clerk and a planning director pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A1, to discuss negotiations incident to propose contractual arrangements relative to the riverfront and downtown pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A2, and to discuss negotiations incident to propose purchase of property along the Highway 378 corridor pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A2. After which time we will reconvene and possibly take action on any one or all of the matters that I just mentioned. I don't know whose hand was up first. Ms. Goldfinch. I will, I promise. Thank you, sir. Mr. White?
Second.
We have a properly seconded motion to go into executive session. All in favor with show of hands, please. Thank you so much. That motion carries unanimously. We will go downstairs. You're very welcome to wait to find out if we are going to take any further